guy comes from. He did a football banquet, or not banquet, but FCA adult chapter, fed football team this year. He did a devotion, gave us invitation. 22 football players made a professional paper.
I think this USTA.
What are we doing? Follow-up wise.
Last time,
Right.
4 years.
And then 18 last night with the cross country students. So that's my point. What are we doing with those students that will,
But then we dropped it.
you know,
Just another day.
They're, you know, I mean, I know my church, you know, we watch, you know, we do everything we can to go on and attract
Is he coming tonight?
kids and
That's what he's in his chair.
buy out the park. But like I said, you know, if they can't get there, or the parents, you know,
that's right.
Did you hear that?
How do we get to them?
yeah, you know, you don't know what to
Yes.
accept prices and that's where it is. You know, now is what you be.
It's not that he's not listening, it's like Marcus makes listening.
That's my part. Trying to get some relationship with them, even if I got to come meet with them somewhere to disciple.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great, thank you.
Yeah, but let's talk.
Tell them about not hearing no pop top. Better not hear no pop top.
You better not hear no pop talk.
Good.
Gary said.
Have a good day.
You understand?
They have some money coming for the payment.
Oh.
Did we change our internet up here?
Hopefully.
No. I knew if anybody.
You know the password for World.
This one's different than the one.
Did we change something?
We changed our access points.
You about have to cut wrist to get that password.
Sure. They may have changed the one here at the board, but I'm not really sure. Let's see. Can't read it. It says I'm not connected to anything. What? Is it coming? Oh, still. Let's try that again. Okay. We'll try the other one. Oops, sorry.
Y'all done got rid of me? Surely.
No, ma'am.
Unless y'all got another password. She might.
I think they've changed them.
I cannot understand. All board members, all board office members.
Do you want a hotspot? Yeah. Activate my hotspot. Okay.
Time being 6:04, I'll call this meeting to order and welcome everybody here with us tonight. And as we begin, I'll ask Chairman Phil Leader to send a word of prayer.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the day. Thank you for the opportunity to come and do the business of our school system, dear Lord. And Father, as we make decisions and as we discuss tonight, let us do it in a civil and order way, dear Lord, that would be pleasing to you. And God, let us make decisions that would be best for our students and our staff. And God, we just thank you for all that you do for us. We love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second. All right, we do have an administrative matter that we'll need to go into executive session for at that time. And on, we've had some additions to the facilities. We've had an addition of a contract, and we'll change the agenda on the upcoming events for the regular monthly board meeting. Instead of October 11th, that'll be November the 8th. And then we'll have to, if we've got another tribunal appeal, we'll need to talk about a date for it. We'll get to that point.
November 8th.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the agenda as amended signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or? Motion carries. Announcements, recognitions. You want to cover any of that there?
Yes, sir. We have some really good news I'd like to share with everybody. FHS CCA announced the graduation rate from the state on last Thursday, and we had the highest rate ever for the College and Career Academy at 93.96%. That's good news. And that's up from 88.5% in 2019 when we still had regular school. And no COVID, so we had a plus. Also, Hispanic, the graduation rate was 100% for our Hispanic students in the class of 22. Our black, and it was the same in 2019. Our black students' grad rate was 98.28%, up from 92.41 in 2019. Our white graduation rate subgroup was 87.8%, up from 85.19 in 2019. Our economically disadvantaged was 96.96, and it was 88.53 in 2019. And our students with disabilities this year was 79.31, up from 72.41% in 2019. So every subgroup made gains, and every in our high school made gains. And we'd like to thank the class of 2022, their teachers from grades K through 12 who got them through. We'd like to thank the Hurricane Transition Academy for their help with some of those students and helping them get their credits under control. And so it took a effort on everybody's part, and it's just great news for us. Our district score was 83.4%, because HTA, they had a lower graduation rate, but that is really a transitional school, so we don't really, even though it counts for us because it's a separate school, we send a lot of those students back to the high school to graduate.
Okay, so the correct thing for us to say is Fiscal High School, College and Career Academy.
Yes, ma'am. Was 93.96.
Okay.
And another thing, today we just got notice that FHS CCA junior Amy Rojo was named to the 22-23 State School Superintendent's Youth Advisory Committee. So that's a great honor for her. And you know, in the past year, we've made a partnership with Mercer University School of Medicine and the Georgia Rural Health Innovation Center, which provides quality mental health counseling to our students here in Ben Hill County Schools at no cost to the schools or families. We receive the grant funds to help fund training, software, and computers in order to provide the services the students so desperately needed. The grant period is over, but our work is continuing on. And as part of the grant, Christy Cook, Jana Anderson, and Wanda Kimball have all been invited to share with Mercer University School of Medicine, the Georgia Rural Health Innovation Center, and other districts and stakeholders across Georgia about our pediatric mental health initiative here in Ben Hill County Schools. So right now, I met with counselors last week. That program is thriving right now. We have a lot of students who need that. So, you know, those three ladies right there have done a great job of getting that, partnering with Mercer to get those students the services they need. So I think that's a tribute to the great things we have in place. So we really appreciate all that, and that's great news for our community, our kids, and for our school district.
That's fabulous. Fabulous news.
All right, I got one.
You got one?
I got one.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if y'all are familiar with the Georgia High School Football Daily. It's a newsletter that comes out by Todd Holcomb in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Starts in August and runs through football season. But our offensive line was named Offensive Line of the Week in the state of Georgia for their performance last Friday night.
All
So
right,
congratulations to them.
excellent.
All right. Moving to the minutes of open session. We've got the call meeting of September 9th. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting of September 13th minutes.
Motion to approve, September 13th meeting.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Yes. Did the board not go ahead and announce who we wanted the GSBA Beacon Award recognition for? Did we select somebody?
Yes, and is it not on there? I
No,
changed
on
it.
Q.
It missed the paragraph,
Oh, it missed.
and it was 96.9. I'll
Okay.
change the page on it.
All right, thank you
I
so
probably
much.
just didn't flip
And
out of there.
just for information purposes, did Monitor Enrichment Program ever get their partnership recognition from last year? Would you check on that for me? We did it for them last year.
I think somebody said that they did, but it wasn't like a, I think they got something later on. I'll check on it though.
Okay,
It
thank
seems like
you.
I remember that.
Yeah, the partnership awards just
Come from
are
GS.
mailed and
Yeah.
are come out.
Oh, but
They're
don't
not
they
like the
usually?
Beacon Award.
But don't they usually come up to the board and pick them up? We don't? Okay.
Well, what happened, the certificate got lost, and then we got another certificate, and I thought that it went to some
And then it was just mailed to them?
program or something that was had, that it was
I'll check
taken
on
to,
it.
but I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Are all in favor of the September the 13th minutes as corrected, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve the call meeting, which is a tribunal appeal of September 27th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
Yes. So now the minutes from the tribunal are public record?
Well, the action that we took, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Not the proceedings themselves.
Okay, thank you.
All those in favor of September 27th, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Any public comments? Anybody signed up? Okay. We have Lewis Billingsley that wants to present something to the board. Okay, you may go ahead.
Okay.
You'll come up to the podium
Yeah.
and you'll have 5 minutes and I'll kind of cue you at 2.
Okay, I'm gonna make it short, sweet.
Okay.
Our children are it's very critical. This, what you guys do is just, man, I appreciate you. I know it's hard, but, we just need a little tweaking, and I'm just kind of wondering, if we can get a policy, because we have teachers that interpret things differently, and I'm talking about like in doctor's excuses. Doctor's excuses. One will interpret this way, one will interpret that way, and we don't want to, we want to protect our children. We go to the doctor, we get a doctor's excuse, and then they go to school, is to protect them from further injuries or whatever. And I know I can't get into specifics in names, but I've been trying to get something settled for about a month and a half now. And until I said I'm going to go to school board, I finally got a meeting tomorrow. The injury was compounded because of misunderstanding the doctor's excuse. I could read the doctor's excuse if I could, but when I went back to the doctor, I said, this is what they did. And he said, he scratched his head, he's like, well, I mean, I could see where they might interpret that, but the only other thing I could see is, say is bed rest. Bed rest. And not go to school. I don't want to keep my children out of school. I got 2 children in the school system. And if they've got an injury, we don't need to take chances. At PE, in sports, and Fitzgerald has had some incidents. We're not immune to people getting hurt or even dying. But it's just something I need you guys to talk about amongst yourselves and see if we get a policy about doctor's excuses. It's very important. We go to the doctor and we know what's going on with the child. But we trust you all to abide by those doctor's excuses. And not interpret it or add to it and create further injuries. But I could read the doctor's excuse if y'all want it.
Would you please? I'd like to hear it. But
Don't have names on it.
Not a name.
No,
You don't have to say the
name.
names.
Okay.
No name.
Private, is
excuse.
it gonna have private health information?
No.
Okay.
No. All it said was no PE and no walking. And my child was made to walk the whole PE. And further, he came home, I iced his leg, and then all the other teachers interpreted it as I would have never made the child walk. But because it said walk only, the child was made to walk the whole, and they even asked halfway through PE if they could stop. No, keep walking. And I didn't get no resolution. And finally, when he went back to PE, coach said, I only did what the excuse said. I made you walk. And even other people noticed and said, why are they making you walk? So I'm a little bit disappointed in that fashion. But we just need to be mindful of it. There's not going to be any misinterpretation. We don't want our children injured more and then have to stay out of school, stay out of PE even more. I have a honor roll child. He's everybody loves him. He's very competitive. The thing that they were doing, he loves participating in, but he did not want to. He came home limping. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Louis Billingsley. Mr. Billingsley.
Moving into system reports, consent agenda items, entertain a motion to approve items 7A, 1 through 5.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, paid bills.
Paid bills for Fund 100, our September expenses were $2,568,437.41. For Fund 150, our expenses were $205,677.22. For a total amount of, for September alone, $2,744,114.63. Mr. Ray? I'm good on that calculator.
Okay, general fund fiscal year to date.
In the general fund, they presented 2 reports to us. One is the year-end report, fund balance for June 2022, which came out to be I can't hardly say it, $6,738,030.38. Now, our current fund balance, we spent a little bit, and now we're down to, during September, our fund balance is $5,200,000 $296,773, give or take $820.
Yes, ma'am. And that is significantly higher than we had anticipated for the June 30 number. If you remember our retreat, we were talking about $1.5 million, and it's more like 2.5. We can make use of it.
Okay. East Bluff.
East Bluff is down from last month by $12,000. For last month, we only got $239,865.37 in our penny tax.
Yes, ma'am, it's almost $15,000 higher than the same period last year.
Yeah.
Continues to be strong.
And the only reason I read those out is because I don't know if everybody can see this.
Yes,
ma'am.
Okay. So,
Well, put some in the record. All right, our facilities report, we'll do the facilities report first. We added some just informational items to go over, and we'll do those at the end of the facilities report. All right, Mr. Newell?
Yes, sir. We, got the transition of the server room done. At the end, so that was smooth. Everything came up. Worked like it was supposed to, so it took a big effort by everybody in the IT department. They worked all day, Thursday and Saturday. We got all the components moved, generator moved, everything in place and up and rolling. So working so far, hopefully that'll be there for years and years to come. Perry's at the new high school, they're still working on punch lists. They're slowly but surely getting it knocked down. The clinic at the middle school is coming along really well
good.
and should be on course to open November the 1st on schedule, so that's what we do. I got my HVAC crew, the guys lined up, we're gonna do HVAC services, probably do on breaks, fall break next week. Get all the air conditioning unit service, filter change and all that good stuff. Been working with Miss Brown on the, at pre-K over there for a 3-year-old class to get the rooms ready. And, been a lot of moving going on, but, I think we're really close on that. We got our privacy fence put up on our playgrounds. The next on the fence. Just getting busy, but we trying to stay on top of that, keep everything rolling. Any questions?
You got your tables at the pre-K, the new ones?
Not yet.
Not yet?
About a quarter.
So the old server room, everything is out. So the building is now vacant.
No, there's still
No,
some.
there's some junk in them.
Well, there's some storage in the front part of the building closer to the elementary school.
Miss Martha would,
Yeah.
Miss Martha, she's got some
So,
food
yeah,
nutrition
stuff I saw,
in there.
yeah.
But the actual server room, yeah, it's, I think it's got some old cabinets left in it, but everything's, yeah, I think it's pretty much clean.
Okay.
But there is some storage stuff still in that.
But that's all it's being used for now is just storage.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Yes, sir.
So it's stuff we don't mind getting wet? I mean, that was the problem with the room, right?
Those areas aren't
Well, there's 2
under.
rooms up at
So-
the very front that's.
Not as bad as,
Kinda okay.
okay.
Is that stuff that's gonna be repurposed somewhere or what?
Ashley, do you know what's in those 2 places? Is it old equipment or is
So it's
it?
equipment Miss Martha has, and, out of kitchens, I mean, she was saving it, I guess, she had a breakdown to reuse it. And then there's some desks and chairs in there from the elementary school.
Okay.
load desk chairs.
Should that building be scheduled for demolition, is there some place to move it to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll get around to.
You want me to give the other updates?
Yeah, which one you want to do?
You want to start with the tennis courts? Or you want me to?
Go ahead, we'll get those in a minute.
Okay. I just want to give you some updates on other facility projects and road projects that we have. The roundabout at the by the elementary school is still on hold. They're still taking bids for that project, so we really don't know when that's going to happen. Also, I spoke to Lee Cohn today, and he said that for the school zone out at the new high school, the DOT is having some trouble with their permits, so that is not completed yet as well. And when they decide how they're going to get that fixed, they'll let us know. The governor's coming tomorrow, and Lee said he was going to speak to the governor about that, so hopefully we'll get a resolution to that. We have some athletic fields that Greg drew for us. We asked him to make some changes to the athletic fields, and if you would bring that up, Michelle. These are some. This is the, can you blow that up just a hair? This is what we asked him to do at our retreat, was to make a master plan for the sports complex. And we asked him to turn the field. Right here, you can see that that field has been turned closer to the tennis courts. And this parking lot is 100 spaces. We talked about moving that whole parking lot around, but then he redid that parking lot. You have walkways to the tennis courts, to the baseball, softball complex. You have batting cages, dugouts with bathrooms and storage on both sides. And then this is the master plan for later, but you also have 2 practice fields, and one practice field has a track around it for later on. What we're asking him to do right now is to price out what it would cost to add the 2 practice fields, the baseball, softball complex, and if you scroll down just a hair, you can see the 2 extra tennis courts, the other way. There you go. You can see the 2 extra tennis courts and lighting that you also asked him to do. So he's pricing this right now to see what it's going to cost to get the 2 practice fields, the baseball, softball construction, and the 2 extra courts and the parking lot. So we'll know exactly kind of where we are with those, with the facilities. And once he gets this done, then we can say yes or no. And I think we got the funding to do that. So hopefully we can get this baseball, softball complex and the 2 practice fields sprigged with grass that we talked about at the board retreat to get that underway.
And the 2 tennis courts?
And the 2 tennis courts.
So the only thing that's in phase 2 is the football field in that park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But he did.
Yes, sir.
Would you mind sending me some of those plans?
Yeah, I'll send them to you. I will. Yes, sir.
To the football field?
There will be a from this parking lot up here. There will be that'll just be the parking lot, but you can use the student parking lot here that's already drawn.
Okay.
To as a walkway there. That could be the visitors, and this could be the home side. It's just according to how they want to set that up. But also, there's some plans to add a road somewhere in here around MDI. And maybe that road would tie off and we'd have another entrance in later on. And I know they're pursuing that right now. But I felt like this was a good compromise to what we had at the retreat. And we had talked about all those issues, and we just need to get it built. And I think prices are coming down a little bit, so hopefully that'll be in our favor.
Dawn, has our current coaching staff had any input on this?
They already had input on all the facilities.
Okay.
Yes.
And why are we adding 2 new tennis courts when we just built tennis courts?
Because we don't have lights on the tennis court, and if you add 2, you don't have to have lights. Because everybody be able to play their matches within the time allotted.
Because those lights cost, what was it, $1 million?
Yes.
Just for the lights?
But we're going to price out lights.
Yes, they're pricing out lights right now.
It doesn't mean you don't want them.
I got you. I want the public to know what we're talking about spending money on though.
Yeah. So if we have 10 tennis courts, everybody can play at one time
Yes,
and in the
ma'am.
daytime.
That's right. And then the dugout, I mean, the concession stand and the bathrooms will be, that press box and all that's attached to the baseball softball will have bathrooms and a concession for men, women, and then there'll be a press box on top. Do you want to scroll down just a
Did
little
they
bit?
reduce that parking lot? Because you know there was some
Yes, ma'am,
talk
'cause-
about us reducing that too instead of.
Right, because it was going to cost so much to build that whole parking lot. Keep going, Michelle. On down. And this is kind of how the baseball softball view will be. You can see the stands, and this is going down, Michelle. Right here, you can see this is the press box, and then the bathrooms will be like this. And here's the concession. I believe that's the concession, and the bathrooms here for the public. Because the dugouts will have their own bathrooms for the student athletes.
Oh, yeah.
And the storage also will be in the dugouts.
What are we gonna do for bathrooms for the tennis courts
That's
Where
what,
we going there?
there'll be
You'll use
usually
those too.
right here.
until those are built? Like for the tournament that's coming up, are we gonna have a trailer pulled in?
We're gonna have to do something
Yeah,
like that, yes
okay.
ma'am. And we've looked into a portable trailer for
Yeah,
bathrooms,
that's what I
so
meant,
yes,
yeah.
ma'am.
Porta potties. Well, better than that.
So the things that you'll see built first will be the 2 practice fields without the track, the baseball softball combo field, the extra parking, and the batting cages and all the things, and the tennis courts. You'll see that would be in the next phase of construction for the facilities, sports complex.
Mr. Rachels, we still talking about 3.5 million is what.
Well, with the increase in the fund balance that we had, I think I can pretty well guarantee you a $5 million budget.
That's what I'm talking
And there's some other pictures down below that.
Right,
too,
and
I
if you
think.
keep scrolling down,
There you go.
a little bit more. That's the baseball field, tennis courts. Just kind of gives you a view, cross section. Dugout, these are the dugouts here. Storage, restrooms, dressing rooms will all be in the dugouts. So it'll be a super nice thing for our athletes and our coaches. And they've had input in all of this.
about. And so the coaches are aware that we're gonna be doing that combination softball, baseball.
Yes, ma'am. They actually said they preferred that. Yes, ma'am. That was our first meeting in June that we talked about all that. And we met with Greg that day as well.
And that is AstroTurf.
Yes, ma'am. The infield and the outfield. And there'll be a breakaway fence for softball.
And there's some pictures of the seating, that picture 7 is on there,
Picture 7.
is the seating.
Can you bring up that picture 7, Michelle? There it goes. That'll be our baseball seating for our baseball softball combo.
Let's not tell Greg we got 5.
Let's start.
Let's not tell him.
We'll use it.
Probably watching me.
Anything else matching?
I think that's it.
I think that's what we asked for. He did a good job getting back to us in a timely manner. And I think he did a really good job of the feedback we gave him that night.
Have you heard anything else from the other architects?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Any questions about this? Anybody? We also met with Parrish. There was a question about the closeout for the construction of the high school. That probably won't come till next summer. We have a lot of things still going on the punch list with the floor, with the emblem on the terrazzo. So me and Mr. Sermons and Mr. Newell met with Travis Miller and Matt Hightower and Greg Smith a couple of weeks ago to discuss the concrete floors. We were looking at the floors. They have a lot of cracks. They have little cracks, some bigger cracks. They have some little dings in them where some stuff maybe fell on the floor and made cracks. And they put what was that they called that, that stuff they put in those little places?
Epoxy or something.
Was it epoxy that they put in?
Pass.
Yeah, patched it with epoxy. So we asked them, what was the longevity of that in the floor, and they really couldn't give us any idea because they've done that before, but they've never used it, I don't believe, on concrete floors. So we talked about 3 different strategies to eliminate that. One was to keep the floors as they are and pursue a 10-year warranty and take a credit from the company. Another was to put luxury vinyl tile over the classroom wing hallways. And the other was to regrind all the classroom wings and reburnish the concrete. But that would actually, it would take the concrete down about 1/8 of an inch, and it would make a big mess in there. So we really don't want that kind of dust in our building. So they have not given us any kind of feedback yet on what we asked them to come back with. So we're waiting on that right now. Another thing we talked about was the Rotunda Floor, where the logo is. The terrazzo installer said he would give us a $6,000 credit because he did make a mistake in doing that emblem. But if you want to replace the whole emblem, we're going to have to pay $45,000. So, and also another thing that does is when you start taking the emblem out of the middle, the logo, they don't really know how far they're going to have to cut the terrazzo out because of the stuff that's underneath the floor. So, that'd be a big project that would have to be done during the summer. That's not anything we can have fixed right now. So Parrish is going to be with us for a little while, and as we continue to talk to them about the floors, I'll update y'all as those things come about.
So why
You go ahead.
why would we be liable for having to, pay for someone else's mistake? We got a lot of stuff, I guess, we having to pay for. I understand that, concrete will crack.
Right.
But we're talking about putting tile over concrete that we paid a bunch of money for.
Well, that's a decision that will ultimately have to be made, but that's just some things that we talked about. That's not anything we're going to do right now. Those are just some options because they wanted to take the floors off the punch list, and we were not ready to do that. And we met about an hour, and we walked the whole building, looked at the floors again.
I can understand about, I understand that concrete, I guess, settled,
Right.
will have cracks, but, we talk about that emblem and logo, and it was not our fault, but we're having to pay to have it redone.
How much again?
$45,000.
Or get $6,000 and just act like
No, he's
It's
gonna
right.
give us $6,000, and he says he made a mistake
On one part of it,
on one part of it.
but that was
But
it.
that was a critical part, though.
It was only on the bottom part where
You're talking about the
where the
crooked part.
line
Yeah.
goes. Yes,
So what's he saying, is he still standing by the fact that they got the wrong logo?
yes,
Has he shown us which
Is that
logo he got?
verifiable?
yes,
He
That's
has.
verifiable?
yes.
So somebody
I ver-
signed off on that though?
I verified that. Yes,
Don't.
yes,
So somebody did sign off on that logo though?
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I did my due diligence and looked through everything I could to secure the fact that that is the logo that was sent.
oh my gosh.
And it was signed off on, and we can't, ethically go after a construction company because they did what we asked them to do. So
So take out $6,000.
Yeah.
I don't want there to be any
Yeah.
misinformation about the floor because the floor was
And
done.
sadly though, that was brought up, that emblem was brought up early. We can't go back and change that, but that was brought up early by some, and so.
Well, you couldn't have changed it then either, unless,
Yeah, but we could have changed it before we got into there, is my thing.
oh yeah.
We could
well,
have addressed it, that's what I'm getting at, but you can't go back.
No, you can't go back. But the part that they can fix, unless you want to fix the whole thing, that'll be up to the board to decide. If you want to go back and do that.
Well, Don, I think I wouldn't pay the 6,000. I would just go ahead and have them fix the part that they screwed up.
Just have them, right, they're gonna fix that that's what they would say it costs to fix it, that they would take the $6,000 off of our bill.
Okay.
Yeah,
And back on the floors, I want to scratch off using vinyl. That is no
Right.
what I put
right,
out on there.
no. One of the things we discussed was how it would look, with the vinyl on there. There would be too many floor types going throughout the school. And honestly, You know, if that epoxy resin holds up in those places, I kind of think that's kind of how concrete floors go. You know, people drop stuff, all those things, and it just, if they give us a good enough credit, you know, we might could, I don't know what we would
I
do.
think with once the floors were laid and the epoxy was put on, now the concrete separating, that's nothing you can do about. But when they got all those little dings,
Right.
you know, that was caused by, you know, the labor force they were using with, you
Right.
know, heavy equipment, you know, hammers and what have you. So,
Right. And we can discuss that in more detail if you want to. If you want to go look at it now, since everything's kind of done, I think that would be good too for you all to go out there and just look at the floors. I think, you know, the classroom, you can disguise the floors.
Right.
But in the hallways, you know, that's where everybody is, and you can't really disguise them in the hallways.
The best option gonna be to take the credit and the warranty. I mean, if you
Right.
go in and regrind them down 1/8 inch, credit goes all the way through.
Well, and plus
Does all over
the
the
classroom would be higher than the floor, so.
You're still gonna have a crack.
Right.
Yeah.
Concrete's gonna be concrete.
What about the spots in the roof that leak?
The spots in the roof that leak are usually caused by condensation from the air conditioner, but there's not any big leaks in the roof.
Had they replaced the panels where it leaked and
Yes, ma'am.
got all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we're constantly, Ashley's constantly out there
Okay.
looking at things and working with Parrish and
Okay.
getting things done that need to be done. So, you know, we're still in the let's figure it out phase about these things, but I want to keep you updated as to where we are.
Appreciate it.
Good checking on that.
Metal detectors, we are waiting on USDA to complete the call like we had before to get the funds for the metal detectors. That should be scheduled sometime soon. The demolition, I think we have to be very strategic in how we move with demolition because demolition is so expensive. And one of the things at the high school that we're having an issue with is that we're going to have an asbestos abatement. So we're going to get someone to come out and look at the floors in the old high school to see if they do have asbestos in them, and we'd have to get that taken out before they could demolition that building. But according to Parrish, he was telling me on the phone, Travis was, that it could cost anywhere between $750,000 and $1 million to just demolish the old high school if it has asbestos. So we were looking into that. But you know, we have projects earmarked right now for the sports complex. We have ESSER 3 ARP funds ready to be spent on the renovations at the primary school and middle school next summer. That's really turning into an AC project because AC is so expensive right now. And there's so much duct work that has to be done at the middle school because of some of the issues with the duct work on the connections hall that it can be very expensive. And then we've also trying to leverage some capital outlay funds that weren't all the way used for the painting renovation to work on the floors and the cafeterias and the bathrooms at both schools. And the gym floor at the elementary school and the middle school needs replacing. So we have a lot of projects going on. So when we talk about demolition, we're going to have to really decide what's the most important thing to do and prioritize.
Have we talked to the city and the county about any buildings they might want to use?
Yes, sir. We are actually right now partnering with the county about the 4-H building. Right now, Mr. Dinnerman and I have walked those buildings along with Ashley and James, and we have. They decided that they really like the old library at the Ben Hill Elementary School campus. Currently, they're seeking quotes for new roofing, plumbing, to add more bathrooms and replacing air conditioners. And they're very interested in leasing those facilities. So that would be one building that we would not have to tear down.
Okay.
Demolish.
Demolish, yes, demolish, sorry.
Blow it up.
And is there any training we can do with those buildings with them, for them to take over some of that demolition?
I don't know, we can talk about that. He's still in the looking process at that old campus, old library campus, and still getting quotes and things, so he's not ready actually to say what he's willing to do and not do. So we talked to the city about some other things, and they were very receptive, so I feel like we're building our partnerships to to actually get some stuff done that'll be helpful for our community and our students and our facilities.
That's great, thank you.
You want to talk about the tennis courts?
Sure. We have made a grant, we have applied for a grant, we talked about this at the retreat, of $2 million to repurpose the tennis courts here, the Palm Street tennis courts. That would be used by the community for public use and be able to be used by our middle school. And the grant is some of the COVID money that was left over that the governor has allocated $250 million and for entities in a community to apply for recreation grants. It has to be a certain poverty level and it has to be in a census tract. That, and it's by a piece of property. That piece of property meets both of those definitions. And Bonnie Kelly's writing the grant for us. The city is also applying for the money and the county is writing a grant. Just because one entity is applying doesn't preclude another entity in the community from applying. So all three of us are applying, not for the same thing, but for different things from the same big pot of money.
So we're not competing
One does not
against each
exclude the other. We did talk to the city and last week. Dawn and I met with Jason Holt and Kathy Young because it would be a community available place, because our courts at the high school are not really conducive to that. We'd be making these for use for the community to build our program and for our middle school and elementary kids to have a place to play. But our middle school could use this as tournament play. But we are applying for the grant. I've also inquired from the USTA because they've got some funds available that we applied for 4 years ago, and we ended up dropping the grant when we moved the courts out to the new facility because they would not be available for public play. So we dropped that, but now I'm pursuing that again. That's a $40,000 grant, but they also provide expertise in drawing and those kind of things. But anyway, our meeting with the city was to include them in that partnership, and they agreed that they wanted to participate with us in that. They said, we're very good at demolishing things, so yeah, we can tear those down for you, we can remove the fencing for you. The trees, there are still some on-site utilities there because there were 3 houses on the north side of that property. They will talk to Water, Light and Bond for us about some utility site work. They will talk to Water, Light and Bond for us because Water, Light and Bond won't do lighting for us, but they might do it for the city. So can we work those partnerships? And they were amenable to that. We met with them for about an hour. And so we're proceeding with that grant. And like I said, I'm working with USDA to see if there are any funds available or technical assistance so they can help us with our drawings. There'd be possibly 10 tennis courts here, concession, bathroom, storage, meeting space, and 4 pickleball courts. Because pickleball has become there'd be 4 pickleball courts, although you can take your tennis courts and ghost the lines on them, but these would be 4 pickleball courts, strictly for pickleball. Again, it's a community thing. We don't have to worry about parking. The whole block area could be taken up for the complex because we got parking available to it. So we're working on that. The grant is due the end of November, and there's going to be a quick turnaround. We'll know if we get the grant by January. If we don't get the grant, we just won't do it. But we're going to apply for it and see what we can do. We're not going to try to repurpose those courts because they're in such bad shape.
So we just be starting over from
We'll be starting over. But it'll be if we can do it, it'll be a nice complex. Now, the grant's only, $2 million. We've gotten an estimate, it's not a quote, we've gotten an estimate, and the estimate came in at like $3.4 million. But I think it's real inflated, cause the bathrooms and the storage and the meeting room and the concession was valued at $1.4 million. That's $350 a square foot. And Kenneth and I decided we're gonna go into the construction business and we'll build that.
I'm good with a hammer.
Yeah, but that's just a estimate. The tennis courts
But do
were
we-
about $60,000 a piece, which is reasonable.
Well, if we take on the grant, do we have to pay a match, any kind
No,
of match?
there's no match. And the rating of the grant is not based on a match either. But, we're not asking to put any more money into it. We'll do it for what we can do it for.
Okay.
The other deal is, if you take out, if the estimate was 3.4, if you take out the building 1.4, you're at $2 million. So
Okay.
you could build the courts and do, let's say, the meeting room, concession, all that kind of stuff as a phase 2 later on down the road or something. But anyway, we'll pursue it and see how far we get with it. Okay.
You might even put a tiny house on it.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions on that?
That's a good deal. Great.
All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda items, signify, well, let's get the athletic report, excuse me. Athletic reports. Any questions? All right, all those in favor of the consent agenda items, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Transportation requests are for information, all those are in state. Any questions? All right, College and Career Board of Directors update, Hal?
I'm gonna be quick. Again, thank you, Mr. Palmer, for coming to our board meeting. Our next one will be, third Tuesday, which will be next week, next the 18th. If anybody wants to come, we appreciate y'all. Yeah, we welcome y'all. Just a reminder, our College and Career Academy is state certification. Our internal review is November 8th. All our board members will be there to go over everything that is going to be required to get that certification. It's basically just a practice, make sure we got all our ducks in a row. Anything we don't have in order, we have until January 24th when the actual state College and Career Academy folks come and actually do the review. We spent some time with a lot of those people last week and at the Charter System Foundation meeting, and Dawn and I were talking. They love us right now. We're doing a lot of cool things, and they're always, we got a lot. We share a lot of our ideas, and we take a lot of their ideas, and that's what that. Last week we were at the Charter System Foundation annual meeting. It was a great event. I think that was the one that we won the Charter System of the Year last year. And I asked Dawn, are we going to win that again? But we didn't. Somebody else won it. But that was a good meeting. It was a good way to network. Jason Dunn and I talk about it a lot. When we walk in a room now, people know Fitzgerald. And we have people to talk to, and people want to talk to us, and we've got a good reputation of collaborating with other schools and doing a lot of different things. So those meetings, as sometimes mind-numbingly boring as they are productive. And I know y'all have some events that y'all have to go to as a board, and those are productive times if you make them productive. And I think we've done a good job the last couple of years of getting our name out there and being recognized. 8th grade came and visited the high school. That was one of the coolest days the last 3 years of doing this. That's one of my favorite days because they're so ready to get to the high school, and then they get here and then they're just like, oh goodness, this is this is for real. And so we take them through all the, it was really, really quick. We take them through all the CTA classes and the fine arts, and they go through everything and sort of get an idea of what they're to expect when they come. So that happened recently. Our community connections luncheon. I was not there. I was at the doctor, but Ms. Clemens talked to the community about, gave an update. It was a cool event, and that always is a good day of networking and just that partnership with the city and the county, development authority, and the chamber. I mean, that's one of those things that I think we do a good job of. We had our fall semester skills day. Now, this is one of my favorite events. I got to figure out how to make it bigger. I got to get more kids involved, because the kids that show up are like, man, I didn't realize this was going to happen. And we had to twist a bunch of arms to get the 11 that showed up. But it was a good day. We had Jared Young, who's a plumber here locally, and Emily Harper came and talked about construction. Our electrician could not make it, but we covered his. Those two are very versed in all construction, so we talked about that. One good thing that came out of that, one of our seniors, who's a football player, he touched base with Jared and talked about possibly, after football season, starting to work a little bit and getting involved. So if we get one kid, and actually from last year's skills day, Ashton Fair came back and talked to the kids. He met Emily at that skills day last year, and he's still working for her and going to school, and he wants to be a general contractor. So I sit here and say only 9 the last time and 11 this time came, but if we can get one kid, that was a good day spent. But I've got some ideas on how to make that bigger. We're going to do another one like we did last year. The Lieutenant Governor Business and Education Summit, we did that in Jones County, and we had the following day of that, we had a CEO meeting, and I got to present about the Flex contest to a lot of the CEOs in the state. So that was good. And speaking of Flex, just an update, some upcoming dates that you need to know. We've got, I think it ended up being 12 companies between us and Irwin. Irwin's got 3, we've got the rest of them. But we've got some pretty good companies. We got some that are going, I read the idea, and I'm like, that's going to take some work, but that's okay. So we're going to figure out and help these kids. We held our business plan workshop last week on the 6th. That was a good day. Basically, we taught them how to write the business plan. In the contest, the point that we're in right now, we're in round 1. We recorded that workshop, and they've all got it. So if they need to go back and watch and see what Ms. Brown said, so they can write their business plan. They're in the process of writing the business plan right now. The business plans are due November 3rd. So that's where we're at right now in the contest. If you're writing down the dates, November 10th is round 1 judging. There's nothing really for y'all to do there because that's going to be private. We'll have some local lenders, some entrepreneurs here in town. We're going to scratch everybody's names out because, like I like to say, we don't want nobody switching banks because you didn't pick a kid. So we're going to wipe everybody's name out. March 30th will be the, round 2 judging will be February 9th. And then March 30th will be the local Flex finals. That's where I need y'all to show up and be there. And then April 13th is the state finals. So there's a lot of cool things going on at high school. Dr. Sims and Ms. Jacobs are working their cans off, making things go. So we're all trying to give them the best place to learn and give them as many opportunities as possible. So, any questions?
So are y'all feeling really situated at the new high school with your little wing?
Yeah.
Everything's fitting real good?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, our lab, the engineering lab still has a few things that Parrish is working on. Some of the big equipment that we got can't be hooked up until a few things are left. I can't even remember where we're at with that, but it's not hooked up yet. But it will be. But we're operating like everything's. We're not doing that part. I mean, it's just sitting over there we'll get to it when we get it hooked up. But as far as the, you know, we gotta get the playground equipment, for the preschoolers, but I'm gonna tell you, if you having a bad day, come out there in the morning when those preschoolers are there and go hang out with them for about 5 minutes. And it'll make your day. Today was dress up day, hero versus villain, and they all dressed up. And it was cool. You'll see some of those pictures on Facebook. But yes, we're operating just like the kids don't even know some of the stuff ain't even done because we're just 100 miles an hour. We're going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for everything.
Back in. All right, curriculum and instruction, Mr. Webb.
Did we skip technology?
Miss the technology.
Not on here.
Well, I'd do that again. Didn't I? I just got through looking at it.
I don't see curriculum.
I'm sorry, Michelle,
No,
the
that's okay.
technology report. I just got through looking at it.
I can wait. I don't mind.
Oh, there.
Okay, so we're just gonna, first of all, as Mr. Newell said, the relocation of the district data center, that has been successfully done. It's currently secure from the weather and everything that there was issues with before, so that's good to go. Also, we have delivered the new Zella platform to the teachers, and that is basically just a literacy-focused ed tech company. They offer English and Spanish content, news articles, and other reading material. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, the Hike Central Pilot district-wide, and what that is it's a central location for all of our camera systems. In the current, that's in the current process of configuration, and actually that will be deployed to principals at a later date, but it hasn't yet. There's the refresh of the transportation and the maintenance Wi-Fi. They were on an older system, but now they're on a newer system. And the Build Georgia College and Career Academy certification portal, what that is a portal basically. It's a digital portfolio for documentation that goes along with our certification process. And we are also working on preparing spare devices for the milestones and the SATs for students. Some of the initiatives coming up is installing the Centegix crisis alert system at the high school, just like the other systems, and it was at the old high school also. Some boardroom audio visual refresh, so that'll be where y'all can put yourselves on mute. The visual aspects, working on the ideas of recording and streaming processes, everything, that experience will be upgraded and everything. And I think that was about it as far as what's going on right now.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
Think about it. Okay. Curriculum and instruction, Mr. Webb. I was in a hurry for you a while there.
Yeah.
Lot going on in our schools. Try to keep it as brief as I possibly can. Want to talk about all the professional development that's going on. My instructional coach, RTI team observations to be completed for BHES and BHMS, and of course the previous month we did the primary school. I give you the main things that we have found are glows. We've got great classroom environments, student engagement that we've been talking about for the last couple of years with COVID. There's a lot more students engaged. There seems to be a lot more going on in classrooms. Students are working. And overall school climate in those three schools is much better. It feels, when we walk in the halls, it just feels like you're at school. Our grows, we're working on trying to improve our high-level questioning. And so we're working on that with our teachers. We want to get our students thinking at high levels, increase collaborative learning. And that's been a big push even from last year when we were talking about instructional strategies. We want our students collaborating on projects, collaborating on products that they're creating in the classroom, and definitely talking about what they're learning. We know from experience that if we can talk about what we know, then we really understand it. And if we can't talk about it, we really don't know it. And a greater focus on the Georgia standards of excellence. We've really hitting that hard this year, trying to make sure that we're focusing in on exactly what the GSE is, what the standards are, and the rigor in which they're written. And we're spending a lot of time trying to refocus and rewrite standards, learning targets, and really knowing what we want our students to know. Professional development, we're implementing to help us grow in our weakest areas. Also, a couple of months ago, I talked to you about we partnered with GYSTC and Tiffany West, who is a graduate from Fitzgerald, who has turned out to be really amazing. I'm really pleased about our partnership with them. She is helping us with professional development for our STEM and science teachers, and they also provide materials for our teachers. She comes and she brings kits for like the elementary science that matches the standard that you're teaching. So they come in and she actually participates in putting that on. And the students are really enjoying that. I know I would. I like to have my hands on it. And she's also helping us with a STEM day on October the 31st. It's a huge benefit to our teachers and our students. We sent several members of our team to RTI at work. No, that's not it's at, I'm sorry, in Orlando, which has already impacted RTI implementation in our schools. And this is especially true at FHS-CCA. The changes include targeted intervention time for Tier 2 and Tier 3, and a plan is developing for a win time of their own. 6 of our middle school staff will attend Ron Clark Academy, and that's October 14th. That's like this week.
Yeah.
That we've had teachers that have real. How many teachers is total now we've seen?
We sent 24 last May, and it's actually 8 that are going on Friday. We sent 4 others. It's all about engagement and making the learning process fun.
So, okay. We are continuing professional development in all schools to improve our PLC process as a major component of our strategic plan. Assessment, I talked to you before about we're looking at the Illuminate platform to try to solidify our assessment K-12. That way we're able to track students from kindergarten all the way to 12th and their progress specifically on the standards that we're teaching. And so far that progress started on 9/8, and we discussed the assessment platform September the 21st. The assessment team met with Illuminate representative for information and demonstration, and I was pretty impressed with that demonstration. We were also provided with access to a sandbox version of Illuminate. On September the 28th, the assessment team met and decided to create a committee at each school that includes teachers from each grade or content area to use the sandbox version and provide feedback. I was at the elementary school and actually walked in on 2 teachers creating assessments in the sandbox, and they were very impressed. And on October the 5th, the assessment team met and set a deadline of November the 2nd for feedback from the school committees. At that time, we'll talk about a possible pilot. I think the team at this point would like to pilot that at all the schools in a particular area, and let's take a really deep look at that. Curriculum. We are currently working with grades 3 through 5 on the mathematics teachers to create a complete K-12 mathematics alignment. And yes, I did learn something from a mistake last year, and we're making progress on that alignment.
Okay.
And that's going very, very well. All of my team are working in the schools to provide support and professional development to assist our professional learning teams to focus exclusively on Georgia Standards of Excellence and create learning targets that narrow the focus of instruction to target the standards that will be tested on the milestones. And I think that's our big focus. We want to make sure we're teaching and to the correct rigor, and that we're looking at assessment platforms to make sure we're assessing at the correct level as well.
So we do that throughout the entire all the weeks of the term. We are continuously looking at those,
Yes, continually looking at them, and
not
it's-
waiting till the evening.
It's it's an ongoing process, and we want to make sure that, and of course, we got a new math curriculum that's being implemented next year, and so we're going to some professional development for that. I'm actually going to some myself to make sure that I understand what all the changes are. And the majority of the changes, I've read through it, the majority of the changes are going to be 612, which are critical to our milestone scores.
Which we can't get the graduation rate that you just pointed out without going through these kind of changes and our teachers continuously learning.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Murray.
And I usually have a lot more, oh, I left one out, I'm sorry. I've got Mr. Alexander from the high school and Mr. Kennedy working on aligning some of the most critical areas in science between middle and high school. And they told me that they can complete that before Thanksgiving break, which I'm very impressed, and they're very motivated. And I don't have a lot of them, but if you haven't been to the primary or the elementary school on Rock Your School Day, which is the 14th, so that's Friday. If you haven't been there to walk in the classrooms and see what the teachers have come up with and what the students are doing, it's impressive. And so if you get a chance this Friday to stop by the primary school, the elementary school, and just walk down the halls and step into the classrooms, I think you'll be impressed too, because the teachers really do go all out, and the students really have an awesome time on Rock Your School Days.
Anytime?
It's all day.
All day? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Thanks, sir.
Do we have a copy of that? Never mind. Yes, we do. It's there. Yeah, there's something. Never mind. I bet you did.
Moving into new business, report on funding.
About every 6 months, we have to give an update on our ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 funds that we've spent and that are allocated for the remainder of the time of the grant. We are actually winding down our ESSER 2 grant spending. We had about $160,000 left in ESSER 2, which was around $5 million. And the first portion of the grant was used to pay for salaries. The last part last year was used to do some CTAE equipment purchases for the new high school. And this last part, Ashley and I worked together to kind of look at our AC things and needs. And we we purchased 50 PTAC units that you can move in and out of the classroom if one breaks down. We have about 50 right now in storage that we can move a new AC into the classrooms. And we also leverage that funding to do some work at our new HTA alternative school, put new ACs in the gym areas. And so that is very helpful for our students because those ACs are basically not working very well without a whole lot of tweaking. So we got those things done, and that'll basically end ESSER 2. We have an approved budget for that spending. ESSER 3, we spent a whole lot of ESSER 3 last year with equipment and furniture, and we paid our teachers 30 minutes extra extended day. We paid EIP teachers at the middle school. At the primary school. Well, we did at the middle school and elementary school. And we're paying our instructional technology coaches this year and our RTI coordinators this year out of ESSER 3. But we also have $4.5 million allocated for the renovations at the middle school and the primary school. So once those renovations are completed, we should be seeing the end of our CARES 3 as well, which was $13,700,000. So we right now we have a survey out to our parents and staff about the rest of the usage of those funds. We've really gotten a lot of good things from those funds. And we appreciate the ESSER funds. They're hard to manage sometimes because you'll get one thing approved and then they'll see something that they need some other stuff on. So $20 million over 3 years is a lot of money to invest in your community and your school system. And I think we've done a very good job of making it beneficial for our school system.
The extended day that we were paying for teachers that's run out,
Yes, ma'am.
was that from 2 or 3?
3.
It was from ESSA
Yes,
3,
ma'am.
and so it's not gonna be extended
No, ma'am.
for the rest of this year?
No, it was one
One time on.
one time only, and it was over $1 million for last school year. We did pay the bonuses last year that you all allocated, the $1,000 bonuses to the teachers last year from ESSER 3. So we gave a lot of that money back to our teachers. We actually paid our food nutrition, our bus drivers, and all who help feed our students and care for our students during the shutdown. So we've done a lot of infrastructure work as well with that money.
So I guess the issue was, even though they've gotten the increase from the governor's increase
Yes.
for this year, that some of them still may see a decrease
Yes,
in their
ma'am.
actual check.
That's all right, because it was a one-time allocation. And actually, probably the best thing that happened with that is it went toward their TRS as well. So most bonuses that you get, you don't take TRS out, but because we did the extended day, they actually got TRS on that. So yeah, some people probably took a $4,000 decline because at the highest tier for a teacher, a half an hour of extended day is a lot of money. Basically, a 1 hour of extended day at a T6 costs about $8,000. So you're taking half of that. So, we got some pushback on that last year, but we felt like it was beneficial for our staff to have that money.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
You haven't gotten feedback from this year, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am. They want to know why the check went down. But when you allocate something for 1 year, that's going to happen. And
Thomas sent that email out, I said, you watch.
but we did, put the benefits package in, and we are matching the 1% into the 457. So we kind of balance it out. Some of it is equal for some people, but for some people on the higher end of the scale and who have more years, it did affect them in a negative manner.
That's always the pushback when you add those
That's
extra
right.
funds to a salary
I know.
versus giving
That's
bonuses.
right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, next item, May 10th, meeting, we approved Parrish as our construction management firm for another 5 years. And we approved the scope of work for our renovations at the middle school and the primary school. The funding for that, and approved, like I said, the scope of work. At the time, Dr. Houston did not present the contracts to us for that. This is the contract for that work, so we're kind of backing up to cover work for last summer and the work that we'll do this summer. So that's what this amendment is, and I'll make a motion that we approve that so we can get that signed and get our funding moving.
You made the motion?
I did.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
So this covers next summer too?
No, sir. This is just this past
I'm just
summer.
clarifying, okay. So this is just what's been done?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Any other? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. Next item, at a prior meeting, I don't remember the date, we did approve to trademark certain items and copyright certain items. And now we have to approve the specific items to be trademarked and copyrighted, and that is presented to you. And I'll entertain a motion we approve that so we can proceed with that process. I'll make a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion?
I need, is there more pictures on
Yeah,
this?
it is. So we're gonna take family, purple family in my FHS, TSA, white FHS, purple and gold FHS, CCA, gold FHS, CCA, purple FHS, CCA. Now what's that? I don't know if I've seen
Those
that.
are things
The
that
little
have
crest.
been done in the past.
Over the years, yes, ma'am.
They were, I know,
Different
Stacy
principles.
Bell did one of them.
I don't know who did the other one. That first
I don't
one.
know, just different things that had been done in the past.
So if we trademark these, we're not having to pay any cost for, what is it called? Intellectual property for anybody who created these.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
And so why do we have this one?
I don't know where that came from. That's one David had.
That's the Colony City emblem. The
Yeah,
rebels of
it's
the
got
Yankees.
hurricanes under there. Okay, I just wondered.
Well, I know the city, I guess, has some similar to that, and I think they end up changing because of the rebel flag. And that's my only concern, I guess, with that rebel flag.
Yes, it's right there.
Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
It is.
On the right.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is.
I'm not sure what they did, because I mean, I think they had the same issue with that. I think they ended up keeping the gentleman handshake, and I don't know if they removed the flags or what have you. I would rather, we try to get this correct and follow suit with what they did, rather than, have that out there and somebody,
I'm trying to figure out what we use that
I
for.
think that was an ornament that was created, one time. Would you like to strike that one?
Yeah, let's pull that one until we, I agree with you. I think if we see what the city did with that, why it's very, very closely related to the history of Fitzgerald, because we are a city of reconciliation. Let's just see how they handled it first before we go and put hurricanes under it.
Okay, we'll strike that and proceed with the other ones.
And so what else we got? That's striking F for field. Yeah. Oh, and that's a trike going around.
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. That's cool. Okay. What else we got? That's it?
And then the grow your mind, grow your life down. And the little man with the
Is
things.
that still current?
The grow your mind, grow your life is, I don't see anything wrong with the little man. We use family on like our letterhead and stuff.
Yeah.
But, and then those are the colors.
Well, can we get that put under our tagged on us? The one family under our Shirley Dot Brooks, whenever I send an email
Yes, ma'am.
and put my,
I'll send you the.
I tried my best to copy it,
I'll
but
send
y'all
it to
must
you.
have it protected. I couldn't steal it.
I'll tell Brandon to send it to you.
All right.
Okay.
So we only have one true
We're on
purple
page-
color?
Yes, ma'am.
330072. Okay.
On page 5, we're striking the one emblem.
Yes,
Understood?
yes.
Okay.
The 1895 emblem.
Okay.
And that's just temporary until we find out what they did.
Well, we can go back and add it if we wanted to, or not. We can proceed with the other items.
Those other two down at the bottom don't have CCA on them, I guess, because they're old. I
Yes,
understand that, but just in case.
So that's Fisher, and the H and the S is high school.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. And- All right, discussion of the billboard.
So I confused myself with that billboard email I sent y'all, so let's put it up here so everybody can see it.
Is there, are we making a choice or is there a recommendation?
She asked us for a choice, and I think most of us selected the
This
two-liner.
Right.
Okay, okay.
One, Ben Hill County School is gonna be a hurricane too?
Yes.
Is that one you're talking about? Not that one.
Not that
No,
one.
the other
Not
one.
The other one. That one.
The one with the invitation to come and join us. Yeah, that one.
Entertain a motion to approve that one.
Whoa,
What?
I think that apostrophe S is wrong.
It needs to be S apostrophe.
It's
Thank you.
supposed to be S apostrophe.
Committed to students,
Students,
Plural.
success.
other side, yeah.
Is committed spelled right? Because it's different on the next
is.
one. Okay, because it's different on the
It
next one.
looks like a two.
I've looked at it so long.
I know.
No. That's a lot on the billboard.
It is, yes, ma'am.
Gonna be busy.
But we'll be able, yeah, it's kind of busy. But I do like the fact that it, you know, it shows a lot of inclusion. I love that part.
Right.
Billboard, it is pretty big.
It is big.
Okay.
And where's this gonna be located?
Over by the China buffet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they can pull in the parking lot and look at it.
They can.
It's got an assist you billboard up there right now,
Okay.
but he's not renewing it.
We only gonna have one.
Yes, ma'am. This one.
Yeah.
There's other billboards available, but they're not in spots we want to be.
So you recommend the two liner?
I'll make a motion for the two liner.
Should it be
With the correction.
can be a hurricane, comma, two,
Come be a hurricane.
comma, two.
Okay.
All right, there's two corrections.
Okay. We can do that. Comma two. All right, and the S apostrophe. We got it.
We got a motion, is there a second?
Let's give our school teachers some more time there.
Do I?
She's still grading.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm about to get my red pen out, y'all. Hold on just a minute. Y'all, people, listen, I know how these other schools do, and these people around town, they say, look at that trash they put up on that bulletin board. Can you believe our school member did that?
If it goes up wrong, we'll give you a paintbrush and you can climb up there and fix it.
Must say Gary Smith did
John
that.
Deere Green.
You remember when we had the bus, the parking, no buses, and we had buses spelled wrong?
Yes.
And everybody gave us such a hard time.
Can we put student instead of students?
It's,
One family committed to student success every day instead of having apostrophe S.
One thing,
yeah, we're talking about all the students,
two
success.
students.
But the
But it's a
Student is all inclusive.
but student is all inclusive, yes. Because that's what our vision says.
a student.
One family committed to student success every day,
That
not
works.
students.
Well, that's what it should be.
So let's take the apostrophe S off, okay, Jenny?
Then we don't have to worry.
Okay.
But that's an individual
I
student.
got you, I got you.
Committed, two M's,
I
two
got it.
T's.
I
Okay.
like that.
Thank you for your feedback.
All right, anything else?
Now, if we miss anything, I guess, next year, we're gonna say, we had Ms. Yeager to proof that for us, okay?
I'm still looking. The spacing is a little funny to me.
I like somebody. Nobody seconded it?
No 1 second?
I think so.
I thought Kent did.
I second it.
Okay.
Kent did. All right, we got corrections?
Yes, sir.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Motion carries. All right, changes to the handbook.
Mr. Sermons is gonna discuss this.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Hey.
Oh, y'all kind of quiet today. Good evening.
Hey.
We looked at some changes to the handbook, possible changes, and we had some concerns about the handbook, about some wording in.
Usually we don't make a change to the handbook in the middle of the year, do we?
When we get stuff, we do. But, you know, it was basically some concerns from people about the power of the principal. As we look at our handbook, you know, we're talking about discretionary power of the principal. And I can just tell you, I've been a principal since 2005, and everywhere I've been since 2005, that statement is in the handbook because it gives the principal kind of the authority based on the school board to look at certain situations. So when you look at what I've given you on page 14, starting at page 14, and I got it highlighted where it talks about the punishment at the discretion of the administrator. That was pre-K through 5, grades 6 through 12. The next one say punishment at the discretion of the administrator. Go to page 15. It says at the administrative discretion under academic dishonesty. Go to page 16, where it talks about disposition at the administrative discretion. Page 16. Page 19, where it talks about the discretion of the principal or his designee. Page 24, may be banned at the discretion of the principal. And I think the concern was, why, if the board has something in place, do you leave it at the discretion of the principal? I think that was the question that came up. And as I began to look at it and read our handbook, the handbook is kind of like the school law. And it's the handbook can't be black and white. And I can just say that it can't be black and white like the Bible. If it's right in the Bible, then it's right. If it's wrong in the Bible, then it's wrong. You know, when you look at the handbook, I took it back to page 4. Well, this is what page 4 in the statement. It says the Board of Education, the superintendent, and the principal reserve the right to amend, suspend, repeal, modify, revoke the policy, rules, and regulations at any time to any student, and it said based on certain situations. So that statement of looking at modifying the handbook, you know, I just wanted to bring it to the board because I know there was some concerns about that statement, as if the principals wasn't following through with your handbook or with our handbook that's voted on by the school board. But I just bring you back, then you look at page 5, these are the reasons why we have discretionary power based on the student history, because when you investigate a situation, you don't know all the history of what's going on with a student. A student may be acting out in class, but it may not be because of disciplinary, it may be because of home situation. He could be on the floor, be like a food, and so on. But if the handbook says if he's doing this in class, then this got to happen. But the principal have discretionary power to kind of do an investigation to see, all right, this is what the discipline we're going to give the student. And on the discipline, maybe calling Kim Mitchell for, social work. It may not be a behavior problem. It looks at the degree of the premeditation, the impulse of self-discipline, and I think we come to this point based on a couple fights we had at the high school where it seemed like certain action was given out to certain kids. But again, when you look at the discretionary of the investigation, all my years of being a principal, I would tell parents and students, I would say I can defend the kid defending himself, but I can't defend the kid fighting. And I say it again, 2 kids may get in a fight. I can defend you defending yourself, but I can't defend you fighting. And what I mean by that statement is, if 2 kids going back and forth, arguing, fussing, sending text messages and Facebook and so on, and they show up to school and just start fighting, then that's a fight. But if one kid is doing and another one's not, and they walk and start fighting them, then the kid got to defend himself. So when I do my investigation, I can defend you defending yourself, but I can't defend you fighting. So when I get to a tribunal hearing, I'm going to send them both, but yet during the tribunal process, I'm explaining to the judge panel on why the situation, why they both, because Handbook said they had to come to the tribunal because it was fighting. But then the judiciary decision of that team got to look at all the telling evidence. So I think, and that's why I asked y'all tonight, just let us continue to work with our administrators at training our administrators, because one thing I looked at, and I was just thinking, with discretionary power and everything that goes on with our administrators and training, Ms. Brown has 7 years of experience. She's the most. We have Mr. Brown with 1, Mr. Heitzman with 2, Mr. Merritt with 2, Dr. Sims with 3, and Ms. Sellers with 2 years. That's our experienced administrators. Those are our principals in our system. Less than 10 years of experience. And so I ask y'all to look at the discretionary power and not say the principle is taken out of the board hand, because the handbook on page 4 sums it up based on the totality of evidence, and every situation is different. Because, and what we put in place to help our administrators, we have our Coastal Plain research, they're going to admin academies, so they learn how to do this. Mr. Brown and Mr. Merritt is over at Amelia Islands at a conference right now, learning about discipline and running a school and so on. Ms. Clemens has installed mentorship programs. She's assigned every central office person to a school. My guy is Mr. Heitzman, and she has Dr. Sims, and Dr. Stone has, I think, pre-K and HTA and so on. And she's helped us, and as well as me and her discussed today having tribunal training. Because what happened in the tribunal training, at the discretionary power of the administrator, 2 kids may get in a fight. One may do a waiver, one may go to the tribunal hearing. Kid in the tribunal hearing, based on the 3 people that's hearing the case, may say it's a less severe offense. And then the one that signed the waiver is accepted their guilt, because once you accept guilt, then you have to go what the consequences is on the waiver. And so that's why we end up in all of our appeals through the school board, is because of the decision made either by the waiver or it's made by the tribunal team that's deciding that adjudicating the case. And again, it's just gonna come training our administrators because of the youth. You know, because when you look at them, we got to train them, and it got to keep it in the handbook, because again, if we just go black and white, it says no cell phones. Well, on some reward days, you reward kids with using their cell phones, pep rally. You know, so if we pull it out on a reward day, that's discretionary of the principal. I know mine's in the handbook, it said no phones, but yet as you went throughout the school day, when I was a principal at the high school, I let them use them during lunch only, but time lunch was over and the bell rang, they was up. They couldn't have them in the academic classroom, but it allowed us to operate the school because it's about culture and climate. So I just asked y'all to look at the discretionary power of that, and I know that was a concern that principals aren't doing what they're supposed to do, but I'm going to tell you, this handbook is the same through every school throughout our RESA and probably through every principal, because you give them the power. Because on page 5 again, the last thing it says that the school administration has the authority to suspend or recommend students based on this handbook. I mean, they're the one to operate the school. And so I just want to ask the board tonight to let's table any changes to the handbook and allow Ms. Clemens and myself, as well as the other central office people, to work with our administrators, because again, youth is an issue and sometimes they see things differently. But not just them, just working with Ms. Sawyer and Dr. Barnes with our tribunal teams, training them not just to be the judge, but also to be the one that's delivering the case.
I understand that. I think I know where this is coming from. You know, with tribunals. I think the board, I guess, also too needs to be brought up to speed with tribunals, because I think it's not. We're not trying to take discretion. I understand they need discretion, but I think when it comes before the board, there's we need to have a better understanding of the process, so that way we can support. Our goal is to support the principals. But then when it gets here, there's something I guess that causes us to think and what have you. So it's not necessarily, I say, the tribunal that needs to be refreshed. I think maybe it's the board itself, I guess, that may there are some things I guess that need to training needs to continue. But I think that's on that side and on this side. So that's I don't think we're looking to make any changes to the policy, because discretion, I guess you have to have that. Every situation, every case is different, but like I said, what we hear is sometimes different from what you hear.
And that was an example I dealt with at the high school. I had a kid that got in no trouble, got in a fight with a kid with 15 discipline. I just followed black and white handbook. They both got to go to tribunal. But as I do my investigation, and I begin to look at the totality of evidence, now both of them going to be in trouble, but the one that's 15 and 1 discipline is going through a tribunal, where the other one maybe just be suspended for 3 or 4 days. So, and that's what you're saying, Mr. Palmer. It's just, it goes back to training again, looking at our leadership. And even with that, we got to train them, because I began to write down our years of what's left, with Ms. Brown being the highest. But then I began to think about the central office staff. Mr. Webb can go home today. Dr. Stone, Mr. Rachels, Mr. Hart, and Ms. Kimball. And then you have Dr. Barnes, less than 2 years. You have Ms. Brown, less than 2. Mr. Brown got his 30. Ms. Clemens have about 3, and I have about 4. So it's training our administrators to be the best that they can be, because this is all we got. But I think allowing them still to have some power, yet being monitored, but I think they need to be trained on it just by the youth of them, of having our mentorship training and having a RESA and going off of different things to see how we can just fine tune everything.
What about some of the other areas of our handbook that, if you're saying that the handbook is the rules that the board approved every single year, then what about things like dress code and things like that that are just changed at the school level?
It goes back to us getting back with the principal. The handbook is what y'all put in place, and I understand when you're talking about the principal or the administrative team allowing certain things to address, and it's our job, it's my job as well to address the principal and make sure that's being followed, because you can turn a blind to some things, but not everything. And again, me having 15 years of being a principal, I can always tell, and I used to send out this email, silence equal consent. If you don't say nothing, then it's just gonna keep on doing it.
Yeah.
So silence equal consent. So I was always seeing it just being petty, but yet we didn't deal with the problem, because once you stay on it long enough, then the kids adjust. But if you just, it's like a daisy with it. And again, our administrators are young, but they're very knowledgeable, they're very wise. And so they look at certain things, because I can tell you about dress code, since you brought it up, Ms. Brooks. As a principal doing it so long, when I did dress code, I was seen as looking at the kids or looking at the girls and so on. And then when I gave it to Miss Kathy Lovett, then she was seen as being racist and so on. Mm-hmm. So it put a principal in a bad situation, because I'm a female doing it and I'm a white female, then they say I'm being racist. If it was a man doing it, then I'm saying I'm being sexist. So it becomes a very fine line with principal. So sometimes they be hands off, but it's our job still to train.
Which is why we try to take some of that off of you by setting
Policy.
firm board policy
Right.
for you to follow, so that you don't have that issue. But I understand it when you
y'all
use your
stand with us with the
discretion.
policy. I mean,
Okay.
but that don't mean they're not gonna call. They're not gonna call you. They're not gonna call Ms. Clemens as the superintendent or myself. And I probably got 50,000 calls with this principal, but I always got supported by Dr. Harrison and Ms. Clemens,
Yeah,
because they're gonna call me.
But if you follow the policy, it's gonna go back on this board right here. And it's not gonna be, and I understand the discretion, not going, I don't support taking that away at all, but I think we were talking about, the question came up about policy. And if we're asking these students to follow rules, and you sat here and said that this handbook is policies is the rule book, and then where is that level of accountability of the administrators being held accountable to following the rule book?
And they do, but it goes back to that statement you put in based on the administrative experience of the culture and climate. So again, I told you it's not like the Bible, it's
Right.
not black and white.
I got you.
You know, so
you're
it's
not
just different.
So you don't see the inconsistency there that can be extremely confusing for parents.
Oh,
as well as for
it's very
students.
different, but it's based on age appropriateness of the school. So whereas kids in Mr. Merritt and Mr. Brown schools can wear the little shorts, they're like third grade. But as they get to high school, now you go to the fingertip rule. So again, it has to be, it's based on the kid level, and that's what we have to work on with our principals.
One thing I know, you know, that as you start giving away inches, I guess those inches become yards, and then you know you've got a problem. You know, we just want to make sure that just being consistent, consistent, I guess, with you know, trying to get stuff, you know, back in order. You know, we got, like I say, we got the new school. You know, we got to bring up standards. You know, we got to, you know, make it a place of higher learning, and not a fashion show, not a what have you. And like I say, you know, when you talk about discretion, I guess you saying that, you know, as mentors, it is your job to say, hey, Mr. Cox, you know, you may want to look at the dress code. We're starting to lean too far, because like once it start, you know, it goes from dress code to something else, and then you know we're out of control. So, but as long as you say that, you know, you guys are working with them and you're addressing those issues, and they're learning the policy. But you know, that's all we really want. Try to get that under control, so it doesn't, you know, it doesn't turn into something, I guess, that it doesn't need to be.
Another thing is the consistency of administration. When the administration has been inconsistent over the last 5 years. We have right now 2 years at each school basically, except for Miss Brown. So I think, you know, that going along, we're trying to figure out what they know, what we need to do to get them some professional learning. We've all engaged them to join a professional organization. That's why Mr. Brown and Mr. Merritt are not here, because they have actually are going to some training. So we've and then we've assigned, like I said, each principal has a mentor at the board office that they can call or that we go see regularly. They're assigned to go to the schools at least once a week to meet with the principal. So we're trying to get some consistency in the expectations. So, you know, it's a process, just like anything else. We're trying to get the processes back in order, and it just takes time. And that's kind of where we're working.
But just as long as the mentors are not running the school, you know.
Oh, no, sir.
Your job is to just kind of.
Yeah.
We got too much to do.
Just kind of tap them on the shoulder, say, hey, you may want to look at this, or you may want to look at that. And, you know, your job is not to go into, to dictate, you know.
And I applaud Ms. Clemens for that, because I can tell you last year, that's all I did. But from school all day long, but Ms. Clemens assigned me one school with Mr. Heisman. And so a lot of principals they're gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna make mistakes at the board office, but it's about working together as a team and allowing them to do it, but yet be able to bounce. I can tell you, Mr. Heisman will call. You know, me and him talk pretty regular. You know, he called me or I called him, and she assigned us to go to the school at least 2 hours a week and walk the halls, and I have not. I have not done it consistently, and that's my call back on me being his mentor, because she's assigned us 2 hours a week to go within the school and see the teachers and to see the students and to sit in the the office and see what's going on.
Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Sermon, particularly for giving us this packet and showing that in our agenda, in our board handbook, it clearly stated we're giving discretion to the administrators.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wasn't aware that we gave that much discretion to each of the administrators, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we're not changing anything,
No, sir.
Okay. All right, moving to upcoming events. Our next regular meeting is November the 8th. Thursday night, we do have the homecoming parade. And we will arrange transportation for that. Who is coming?
We gotta bring our own candy.
What?
We gotta bring our own candy.
You gotta bring your own candy, that's right. You coming? Okay.
All right, I'll be there.
All right. Kenneth? Teresa? Juan is still gonna be out of town till the 19th, correct?
Yeah.
He's off.
Okay, all right. All right, we'll have transportation.
What, and where do we meet? At
Meet at
Harvey's?
Harvey's,
5 o'clock?
Yes. Well, it doesn't start
No.
till 6:30, so I'd say
6 o'clock,
That's just-
with your candy. Okay. New board members have orientation 15th and 16th, and they know about that. And our winter conference registration is opening shortly. And you need to let Debbie know what you want to attend, correct?
Yes, I'll ask them.
Huh?
I'll ask them. Someone's already signed up.
Can I add one more thing? RISA will be having a board training on November 15th in Cook County from 5:30 to 8. So if you want to go to that, we can take the vehicles and go.
What date is that,
November
Dawn?
15th?
Cook
November
County.
15th at Cook County.
What's that for?
Board training.
That's for 3 hours?
Yes,
Oh,
Roscoe's is cooking, I guess.
I think so, yes, sir. So we'd need to leave around 4:30.
From here.
And I'm going to the new board member training orientation with the new board members that night. So Mr. Sherman's will be taking my place at that because I'm gonna be there for 2 days with our new board
oh,
members. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
okay.
Okay, that's one of those days. Okay. All right, moving into personnel. Entertain the motion to approve.
Are we going into executive session? Yeah.
We are for another item. You need to go in for personnel.
I thought we always did.
I have one.
I thought we always did.
No,
Okay. No.
but I do have a question about one person. I'm sorry, I wish I would have called you ahead of time.
Recommendation, transfer, resignation, or retirement.
Recommendation,
Okay.
can we do the rest and then, it's just one quick question. but,
That's okay. All right, after a brief recess, I'll make a motion, we go into executive session for discussion of personnel. And we have a pending administrative issue regarding a student that we need to discuss. And is there a second?
second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. We'll show it's unanimous.